Good afternoon, and welcome to the press conference. Now let's welcome your questions. Thank you. I'm Jixin Wen from Shenzhen. The resolution was adopted by consensus on all member states of the Human Rights Council, which spoke of the need for a resolution of recognition of human rights as a core of the international community. The development of human rights is an important pillar of the United Nations. The resolution reaffirms the contribution of development to the enjoyment of all parties, while emphasizing the people-centered approach in realizing high-quality development, meeting to consider broadening needs for all allies, and hopes to work with all parties to uplift true multilateralism, strive for high-quality development, promote and protect all human rights. Next question, please. Relations have improved recently. The Chinese government has adopted a fair policy towards the U.S. in trade. What's your comment on that? My first question, the cooperation between China and Russia is not targeted. The third part is that China and the U.S. should not be divided in any way. For the second question, China always views and grows in relations with the U.S. under the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and mutually beneficial cooperation. Next question, please. Next question, please. Yes, the German government said yesterday that Chinese military used laser targeting a German aircraft in the Red Sea, saying that this undermined the security and safety of the Germans. And the Chinese ambassador has been summoned for this. What's your comment? As we have learned from the complaint of the Chinese, what's clearly said is that fully inconsistent with the priority of China to examine its name in the Gulf of Aden, the U.S. in the world has always made a significant contribution to China, and we have made a contribution to the safety of the international community. To the safety of international communities, we need to exercise strength in communication in a fact-based and timely way to avoid misunderstanding and miscalculation. Next question, please. Lady first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question on China. We know that according to a lot of outlooks, sir, I'm not going to lie. At Los Angeles and Bloor, the favorable opinions of China have been polarized. This is the largest in America. What's your comment on that? I also know the survey shows that trade in China and Latin America is cooked by its global cross-border trade in one way or another. China and Latin America are increasingly looking to deliver tangible products that cooperate with China, and Latin America increasingly has been supported by China and Latin America. Its presence in China and Latin America carries a lot of bonds that it had as a leader in the early years. I think this is part of our collaboration to benefit it. We were invigorated by openness and coerciveness, and this is a recipe for people's support for China-Latin cooperation. Next question, please. Taiwan will start its annual military exercise today. The exercise will be the first launch of a new advanced high-tech U.S. rocket system. Taiwan's defense minister recently said that the exercise really shows China's ability and confidence to defend its sovereignty and free democracy. What's your comment on that? First of all, You mentioned that Taiwan's so-called exercise is not a diplomatic issue. But I can tell you that we are strongly opposed to the U.S.-Taiwan military contact. It is impossible for the People's Party to achieve this by force. Taiwan's efforts to seek independence through force will not get through. Next question, please. The U.S. government announced yesterday that the U.S. will start restricting Chinese citizens and other foreign adversaries from buying land in the U.S. out of security concerns. What's your comment? This is against the international trade rules and the economy rules. We will only backfire when we urge the United States to stop politicizing economic and trade affairs. Next question, please. Hi, question from Bloomberg News. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen accused China of distorting trade and limiting access for European firms 2 weeks ahead of a summit between the economic powers. Von der Leyen said, if our partnership is to move forward, we need a genuine rebalancing, fewer market distortions, less labor capacity exported from China, and fair reciprocal access for European business groups in China. We're wondering if the Foreign Ministry has any comments on these remarks. Thank you. China noted the report. European leaders were highly of China's economic and social development, especially in areas of green developments and poverty alleviation. We commend that. Let me reiterate that China's developments create opportunities, not challenges for the EU. China is the world's most important and unpredictable force that provides stability, but hopefully the EU can become a trustworthy and predictable cooperation partner for China as well. On the EU's concerns on trade, let me point out that with such huge trade volume, it's only natural that China and the EU have some differences in the process of cooperation. Over the past 5 decades of diplomatic relations, China and the EU cooperation has kept growing today. Our trade volume per day is at the same level as that of the whole year when the two sides just established diplomatic ties. We hope the EU will view its trade relations with China from a more comprehensive and objective perspective, rather than exaggerate competition and stop talking about cooperation. The two sides need to bring trade to a higher level and promote its balanced development to properly manage trade frictions and dialogue and consultation, and avoid letting specific issues represent the whole relations or signal trade issues as counter-issues. The current situation of China-EU trade is formed as a result of macroeconomic environments. International trade relations are a respective industrial structure. We should respect the laws of the markets rather than forcefully sell things. China is willing to expand the imports of quality products from the EU that meet our markets' needs in hopes that the EU will infrastructure and export of high-tech products for China. The EU's public procurement market is far from fair and open as claimed by the EU, but has many hidden barriers. Many countries have publicly criticized the EU for being partial to EU companies in large-scale procurement projects. China's subsidy policy fully complies with WTO rules. This is not unique to China. On subsidies, the EU should not override double standards. According to available information from 2021 to 2030, the EU will provide subsidies of various types of over 1.44 trillion euros. By last year, over 300 billion euros has been delivered. Overcapacity should not be measured simply by production and export. Under such measures, doesn't Airbus or German automobile amount to overcapacity? This year marks the 50th anniversary of China-EU diplomatic ties. It is of great significance in building on past achievements and charting the future. We hope that the EU will embrace an objective and rational perception of China and practice a more positive and practical China policy. We also hope the EU can realize that what needs to be rebalanced now is the EU's mindset, not China-EU economic ties. Given the turbulent landscape, we hope the EU can work with China to enhance mutually